Hey guys, it's Mommy and
Jase.
now normally we bring you funny jokes, science jokes at that on YouTube, but today we're going to talk on a more serious topic. September is Chiari Awareness Month, and as most of you know, Jase suffers from Chiari. But if Jase did not have Chiari, I may not know what Chiari is today. Because until Jase was diagnosed with Chiari, we had no idea what Chiari was, and a lot of people in our family didn't know what Chiari was. And it was really scary because I didn't know anybody at the time who had Chiari. And just randomly, I had a few friends who were mutual friends with a girl. I won't say her name just in case she doesn't want her name out here, but her little guy had Chiari, and she helped us through because she knew things that we didn't know. So we want to spread awareness, so if your child or your mother or brother or sister is experiencing symptoms or they have Chiari, you don't seem so alone and you kind of know what to expect and whatnot. So first I'm going to give the medical definition of Chiari, and then we're going to let Jase explain Chiari in his own words. So Chiari malformation is a condition in which brain tissue extends into your spinal canal. It occurs when part of your skull is abnormally small or mishapen, pressing on your brain and forcing it downward. That's the medical definition of Chiari. Jase, if a kid came up to you today and said, "Hey, what is Chiari?" what would you say?
I would say that it's like something where I think like something inside my brain hangs down too low and it's not supposed to.
Correct. So another thing about Chiari is there's 3 types of Chiari. There's Chiari 1, Chiari 2, and Chiari 3. We'll get into Chiari 1 and 2 a little more. I really haven't honestly studied Chiari 3. I think I should get into doing that. So
I have Chiari 2.
he does have Chiari 2. So if you Google Chiari and you Google images, this is probably going to be your most common image that would pop up. Here's Mr. Average Joe with his average brain. Everything is placed where it's supposed to be. But over here is Mr. Joe with Chiari. You see over here, this is all lined up in place. Over here, it's hanging down. This little piece right here is the Chiari. One thing about Chiari is they come in all different sizes. When Jase was diagnosed, he was 4 years old, and his Chiari was about 10 mm. So his was pretty big for a 4-year-old. His doctor called it Chiari on steroids. Jase thinks that's funny. Okay.
I don't know why.
So, Jase, you want to hold this up for Mommy? Alright. So again, this says normal. We're going to call it average because as we've learned in the year 2020, everything is the new normal.
Yep.
So here is CM type 1. We have down here the downward placement of the cerebral tonsils. That little thing right there hanging down. That's the Chiari. This right here is like collective fluid. Some people, your spinal fluid doesn't flow right, so it all collects up. Over here, now this is what Jase has, Chiari type 2. One of the difference is the Chiari can be force pushing, or over here highlighted, it says hydrocephalus. That's where you collect fluid on the brain from the spinal fluid. So, one thing to know about Chiari is there are many symptoms. Jase, what is your biggest symptom from Chiari?
I would say headaches.
Headaches. That's actually one thing how we learned. Jase had Chiari. He was 2 and 3 years old, and he would just scream and cry and hold his head, and we would have to shut the lights off. That brings us to another symptom. Jase has sensitivity to lights and sounds.
And smells.
And smells. So, here is a little, you want to hold this? Yeah. Here is a little sheet that lists some symptoms. Fibro fog, that's like where you have brain fog and you forget a lot of stuff. Jase here lately has been experiencing that. Morning stiffness, dizziness. The ones highlighted are the ones Jase has experienced. Insomnia, tender points, sensitivity to light and sound, anxiety and depression, dry eyes, muscular problems, chronic headaches, irritable bowel syndrome, chest pains, blurry vision, fatigue, weight gain, and feeling cold. So, you're thinking, well, what happens if I get diagnosed with Chiari? There are different things, pain control, there's surgeries, which will explain those.
I've had 6.
He's had 5 brain procedures. There isn't so much as a cure though. Like you just can't cure it. You still have Chiari. So the biggest thing is a decompression surgery. So when you have Chiari and you find out, they tell you you're compressed because there's no room back there. So it's compressed. So the goal is to decompress it. So, Jase, you want to get up and turn around?
Can I show my skull?
Yeah.
Alright.
So, when Jase was 4 years old, he was diagnosed and he had his first surgery, and back here, they go in and they shave part of your neck bone off. The goal, they always say, is to shave the first one. When Jase had his first surgery, they had to go in and shave his all of his first neck bone and half of his second one to make room because how big his Chiari is. So after Jase's first surgery, we experienced spinal fluid leaking on the outside of Jase's body. It made him really sick. We didn't know what was going on. We had to go to the emergency room. We had a doctor who had to do a procedure on Jase right there in the emergency room. That was procedure number 2. They had to also do a spinal tap on Jase to deal with some of the fluid. This was pretty scary because we didn't know what was happening. It was actually a little bit more scary than the first surgery itself. Now, Jase's first surgery, it was tough to recover from. But after his first surgery and his second procedure in the emergency room, Jase started having tons of improvement. His speech improved. His developmental stuff, he improved. Jase also had feeding issues and his gagging issues. It all had gotten better. Oh, we're busy right now, sweetie. But then we started noticing symptoms again. So his doctor sent him back in for a MRI, and we had found out that Jase was compressed again. So we weighed out all of our options, and the best option, well, we tried physical therapy first to help with Jase's leg pain, and Jase has probably tried 10 different medicines for headaches. None of them work good for him. We have finally found one that does. It's called Imitrex. He gets a little shot in his nose. So his brain surgery was the beginning of 2019. And then after that, Jase actually got to play baseball for the first time, and things were going really good. He really wasn't having no headaches. He was playing baseball. He was being at the time, an 8-year-old and living his best life. Well, it was in May, his school nurse had called me and told me there was something wrong with Jase and he needed to go to the emergency room right away. So Jase's dad had took him to the emergency room, and we had found out that Jase had hydrocephalus because of the Chiari. And they said they could go back in and do another Chiari surgery, but they really didn't think we would have a good outcome. They also needed to go in and put a shunt in, and that's this right here. This little shunt works wonders. Jase, do you know what your shunt does?
I think it basically stops like so much fluid from building up, because I think when the fluid builds up, it gives me headaches. So yeah, that's what it stops from doing and how it helps me.
He's right. So think of the shunt as like a drainage system. So he has part of the shunt right up here in his head, and then he has a little tube lined down his belly, and it drains all the extra spinal fluid down there instead of collecting on his brain. So that was that, and that surgery really, 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 really helped Jase. He was able to play baseball again. His headaches have been decreased. Now, don't get me wrong, he still has headaches. They have not gone completely away. High hope. Other issues that people really don't think about when you think about Chiari. So, as most of you guys know, Jase has a colon tube. Jase's brain, nerves, doesn't work well and doesn't really communicate everything at the same time. So he was having trouble, going to the bathroom and normal daily stuff that some people we don't think about because we just get up and do it. So he has a colon tube, and he has to have a medical flush intervention every night.
Can I show them it, Mommy?
Yeah, you can show them. See, right there. That's a little colon tube. So there are other things. Also, some people, we are blessed that we have not experienced this. Some people have seizures because of Chiari. Some people, unfortunately, also they are paralyzed because of Chiari, because the damage on the spine is so intense that they become paralyzed. So, we've talked about Chiari, we've talked about what it is, we've talked about some of the things that have happened if you get it. But one thing we're going to talk about is if you think, that you're having symptoms, what do they do to find out that you have Chiari? Jase, what did they do to you when they found out you had Chiari? What procedure did they do?
They basically cutted some of my back.
No, buddy. What did they do to find your Chiari?
So I had an MRI.
About how many MRIs have you had since you've been 3?
I mean, I think I've had 6 maybe.
Jase has had a lot of MRIs. Yes. Now, some neurologists may start off with a CAT scan, but some of them may go straight into an MRI. Do you know what happens in an MRI?
So, now I hate them because, no. So, you get a mask, and this machine is sort of this really stinky, sleepy medicine, and they hook a long tube up to your mask, and then basically you put the mask over your nose, and then breathe in the sleepy medicine, and as you breathe it in, you like slowly start to go to sleep, and then they put you in this machine while you're asleep. They give you an IV, and they put you in the machine, and it basically takes pictures of like your stomach, legs, your head, and everything like that.
So it's an intense X-ray, and so for kids at a certain age, they do put you to sleep for an MRI. That way you can't move around because you have to be really, really, really still for an MRI. So that's the first part Jase was explaining to you, that they put you to sleep, and he does not like the gas they use to put him to sleep. Another thing, I know that a lot of things, sound scary, some of the things that we've talked about, like brain surgery. But overall, do you think that brain surgery has helped you?
Yeah, I mean, it's really helped me since I've had my Chiari.
And after recovery was it terrible?
I mean, it wasn't too terrible, but I mean, it was kind of terrible. 'Cause, like, whenever I had to like use the bathroom, it hurted for me to get up, because usually I would sit downstairs on my couch, so I would have to walk to the bathroom. So yeah.
Now, if you knew a little kid who was going to have surgery for Chiari, what's something you would what advice would you give them?
I would give them to just take it easy and not try to be as rough, so you like don't get hurt or nothing like that, and just like don't worry about it.
Now, who's your neurosurgeon? Who's done all your brain surgeries?
Doctor my neck surgery?
Yeah.
My neck.
We drive 3 hours away to see him.
Dr. Fulkerson.
And who's his nurse practitioner that sees us?
Natalie.
Yes. So when we originally found out that Jase had Chiari, our neurosurgeon was at Riley, Dr. Fulkerson. And sadly, he had moved to South Bend. We had already seen Dr. Fulkerson because our daughter Hope, she has a spinal condition. So we wanted to see Dr. Fulkerson. So Jase's first brain surgery was at Riley. His second procedure was in the Riley emergency room. Dr. Ackerman actually performed that. We adore Dr. Fulkerson. Like I said, we drive 3 hours there to see him. Jase's second Chiari surgery and his third shunt surgery was all done at Beacon Memorial in South Bend. It's amazing there. It's such a peaceful place. The doctors, the nurses, Natalie, our nurse practitioner, she is hands down amazing. So if anybody is, at this time finding out or dealing with Chiari and you don't have a neurosurgeon, or you need a second opinion, like we have gotten second opinions before, hearing that your child needs brain surgery can be very scary.
Yeah.
But having the reassurance and a great doctor and nurse practitioner on our team has been amazing.
Mhm.
I've told Dr. Fulkerson if he went to another state, we would follow him. That's how much I trust him. Jase is like, I've trusted him with everything. Jase's other two minor procedures for his brain was done in Riley emergency room. We've also seen Jody Smith. She now works at Peyton Manning. She is amazing too. Her bedside manners are hands down the best. And then, like I said, Dr. Ackerman, she done Jase's spinal thing in the emergency room, and she saved his life right there. So she's really good too. I've also heard lots of good things about Cincinnati's neurosurgeon team. I've never went there, so I couldn't tell you. But a lot of my Facebook group chats, when people are looking for recommendations, that gets brought up a lot. So that's another one to check out. And there are a few more at Riley. I don't know their names, but I've seen them pop up too. Like I said, we use Dr. Falkerson, and even his nurses in the clinic, Kathy and Katie, they are amazing. I can call Natalie at any time of the day, and she will chat through email, text message, whatever fits for our schedule, they will do. Is there anything that you would like to add?
That I really like I really like Dr. Falkerson and Natalie too, because they've been my neck doctor since I had Chiari and first found out that I had it. So yeah.
Okay, so one more time. Chiari is where part of your brain hangs throughout the brain and presses down on the spinal, because either the brain is too small or the tonsils is just really, really large.
Yeah.
Symptoms can be headaches,
sensitive to light and smell, and forgetting things.
So just spread awareness. It's not a common talked about condition or disease, but it is very common, and you don't hear about it a lot. So September being Chiari Awareness, we would like everybody to spread the word. Also, Chiari color is purple, so if you wear purple in September, hashtag Chiari Awareness. You can tag me and Jase. You can tag me on Facebook, or you can hashtag whatever. Jase's hashtag is Jase Strong and Chiari Awareness. Alright guys, have a good night.
Wait, and like and subscribe.
Oh yeah, like and subscribe if you want more videos from Mommy and
Jase!